Virginia here. I am going to do a little video here for Annie Wright. Annie Wright was asking on my YouTube channel how to transition from a wrapped row to a V-stitch. So I kind of figure it out as I go, but this one seems pretty simple to do. I do it all different ways, just trying to hide the thread. Sometimes I go up through the back here, or hide the thread in the back, come up, like say for instance, start here. If I want to come out here, I would just hide the thread. But this one's pretty easy. If you go from, this is a wrapped row, so we've wrapped the entire coil of pine needles, and then I just used a little overlay stitch here over the top. So this looks really good if you do this overlay stitch with a different color. Like say on this basket, I used the gold over the pink and then the blue over the gold, and it really shows up good. So that's an overlay type stitch. But here we are. So Annie wants to know how to go from a wrapped row to a V-stitch. You can do this for a regular stitch, a V-stitch, whatever stitch you want to do. I just start from the back. Now some people go back to front or front to back. It doesn't matter. But I ended up in the back. I'm right-handed, but I coil to the right. So this might look easier for left-handers. But my thread is in the back. I'm just going to come up and over just like I did with all my other stitches. So here's the other dilemma. Since I used this overlay stitch, I would normally want to match up to where my stitches are. But my assumption is that Annie wants more stitches, and that's why she's going from a wrapped row to a V-stitch. Because as your basket gets bigger, you're going to need more stitches to keep all the pine needles in. So, and it looks better, it holds the basket together better. So my norm is about 1/4 of a length, or 1/4 of an inch, I'm sorry. So my norm is keeping my stitches about 1/4 of an inch. Sometimes a little bigger, sometimes a little less, depending on what I'm doing. But if I'm trying to set up for new stitches, which I'm assuming is what Annie's trying to do, I would go about 1/4 of an inch over. So here's my last stitch. I'm just eyeballing it. And this looks to be about 1/4 of an inch between these two stitches. They look about 1/2 inch apart. So in this instance, I am going to go through the needles because it's a wrapped row. So you kind of have to go through the needles. You can't just pick up one thread there. In some baskets, I would hook it to an open thread, but in this basket I will not, because it's a wrapped row and it just looks better if you go through the top 1/4 of the needles or 1/3 of the needles. So eyeballing it, putting my needle through the top 1/4, coming out on the back. I am going to use my little pinchers to pull it through because my hands are sore and tired. I've been wire wrapping gemstone hearts for a few days. So there you go. There's your first stitch. And then she is working on the V-stitch. So this is a good way to make a lot of extra stitches if you need more stitches on your next row. So I'm going to come in on this just to the left of the V there, kind of going through the same hole, coming out on the right side. That's tight. I like to make my baskets really snug, so I do wax them or shellac them. So there you have your V-stitch. So it looks like in the back. But when I do the next stitch, it's going to be the true V. So I will move along to the next area. I think that I will go right in the center here and have the V line up just for aesthetics. So I'm going in the top quarter or third, depending on how that's really tight. These needles are kind of dry too. I've had them for a while, so everything's really, there's the front. So you can just, if you don't have any different stitching down below, you just have a wrapped row, it's the same way. So there's the first stitch, the first leg of the V. Then I'm going back to front, but if you're going front to back, same way. So then I go over to just barely, I want to get on the left side of that V. Because if you're on the other side of it, it's going to hold the stitch. Then you come back over on the right side of that V. But generally, I get really close or right in the same hole. So there's your V-stitch. Kind of move them around to where you want them. Tighten them up. So let's do it a third time. I am going to judge. I want it about 1/4 of an inch. This looks good to me. Front to back, top, third, or 1/4 of the row, or coil. Pull it through. Tight, tight, tight. I guess that's how we like our baskets. Snug it all down. You don't want to pull it too tight because you don't want to break the needles, but you want it snug. Snug is the word, not extremely tight. Then we're going to go up and over again, and I am going to come in on the left side, my left side, right next to that stitch. So it's really pretty much going to be in the same hole. And then I'm going to come out to the left side. Knocking stuff off my table. So there are 3 of them, and I need to add pine needles, but I'll do that off camera. That's what it looks like on the back. You do kind of have one hanging stitch here, but that's the transition. So there's probably other ways you can do it. You could come up through the needles and hide the stitch, but that doesn't bother me at all. So that's how I would do it. I'm sure there's other ways. And as you go around, when you go to your next coil, so you can hook up here, 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 here. So you're basically creating 6 more possible stitches there. Now, if you were going to do the wheat stitch after the V stitch, then if you are going to create a spiral V and create the wheat stitch, you would pick up just these, and I'll probably show you that on this video later on. Or if you wanted just a straight, if you wanted the rows to come up with a straight stitch all the way, you would use just this stitch. If you're trying to add stitches, you'd probably want to hook up to each stitch at this point and create more stitches. If you're planning on a bigger basket and you're trying to create more stitches. That's just my suggestion. Here's the V stitch. I don't know what Annie's going to do after that, but spiral, you would hook up to this leg and it would create a wheat stitch, or a straight V. If you hooked up just to that leg, it's going to give you a straight look, stitch look going up your basket. So anyway, try some different stitches. Maybe I'll use this to show you how to do the spiral. But there you go, Annie. I hope that helps. Message me or find me on Facebook or Instagram, and I can help you a little bit further doing a live video with you or something like that. Thanks for watching.